Hey, everybody. I'm going live and I'm going live on Instagram as well as YouTube. But let's see, Instagram, I'm waiting for you. Let me see. Hang on. Let me try to figure out. Anybody here yet? Hello, hello. Today we're going to talk about out of body experiences. I'm working on my Instagram live. Hang on. Hang on. These are experiences that happened to me and what happened when they happened to me and how they happened. So out of body experiences and altered state experiences. That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to wait for a second. I'm trying to go live on Instagram at the same time. There I am. Hello, everybody. So I'll wait a moment. Looks like I've got a few followers here on YouTube. Thank you so much. Instagram going live now about out of body and altered state experiences. Woo-hoo. Sound creepy? No, they were creepy when they happened, though. So, Donna, what happened to me first started many years ago before I was even a medium. I want to say over 15 years ago. I was living in Vermont. So this was back in 2004, probably. That's about 2004. That's over 15 years ago. At that point, I owned a yoga studio and I was also owned another business, which was totally opposite of a yoga studio, and that was a commercial janitorial service. That's right. I cleaned offices, and I had that job. It was my business. I had it for a good 10 to 15 years in Vermont. I also rode a motorcycle. So there were so many different phases to my being at that time. What my janitorial service taught me was how to stay in present moment awareness, how to just be cleaning. It was a lot of nighttime work, a lot of weekend work. I had a staff also. So what that gave me also was the cash to be able to open a yoga studio. And that's what I liked about that business. I didn't think it was taking me anywhere further than my yoga studio, but here I was at this beautiful yoga studio. It was right down the street from my house. I was able, through that cleaning business, to be able to take lots of trips to Kripalu, have a lot of fun there also. It gave me the ability to have daytimes free also and worked nights. So I knew, I guess, then that I was on a spiritual path. I was on some sort of spiritual path. There was a lot of meditation going on. There was a lot of yoga going on. This one particular instance that I'm going to talk about, an out of body experience that happened to me, again, before I became a medium. Let me just explain in my knowing, an out of body experience is when your body remains in the 3D world and spirit or whoever takes you out of your body to some place, to some place, to some other place, not in the physical world. An altered state, in my knowing, is when your body remains in the present moment and you're in your body, but the scene changes. The scene that you are in changes. So you're no longer in your office or your bedroom. The scene will change. So the other place comes to you in an altered state. In an out of body experience, you go to another place. In an altered state, the other place comes to you. So I've had a few of these over the last 15, 20 years, and all of them were spirit led. I didn't do anything to make these situations happen. I did nothing. There were no drugs. There was no alcohol. There wasn't even a deep meditation. I'm going to explain two of them here, but there were a few more. First one happened again way before I was a medium. So I'm at my yoga studio and I'm teaching a yoga class. At the end of my yoga class, everybody sits up And I lead about another 3-minute meditation just to bring them back. And what I was taught at Kripalu, or whoever was teaching me meditation at that time, was you never want to do the meditation with your students. Like you never want to go into that meditation with them. But for some reason, this time, when I said, close your eyes to go into the meditation, I closed my eyes too. And as soon as I closed my eyes, I was shot up into the universe. Shot up into the universe. I felt myself leave my body, my soul, whatever. Some part of me left my body and landed up in the universe. Where was I? I was in space. I was all by myself. It was a night sky. There were lights twinkling, stars twinkling. I saw clouds. I was sitting on a cloud up in the universe. So here I am up in the universe. This is basically what I was doing, just kind of leaning back, taking it all in. There was no fear. There was no worry. There were no questions. I sat there and I took it all in. I looked around. I felt at peace. I didn't feel anything was drawing me anywhere else but there, that I was meant to be there. Didn't feel my body, didn't feel anything of the physical world. I was no longer in the physical world. I was up in the universe. So I sat there. I sat there for months, days, months, years. I sat there. I just sat there. I didn't contemplate anything. I was just sitting there. But hand on the Bible, I don't have one here, but hand on the Bible. It was years that went by. I had no concept of time, but I felt like it was a long time. Then what happened? All of a sudden, I heard my mind say, oh, hell, how am I going to get back to my yoga studio? And in that moment, I became 3D again, and I plopped right down back on my yoga cushion. I felt my, whatever was up there, I felt it plop right down back on my yoga cushion. That was cool. That was very cool. So I opened my eyes with a start. I look around at my students, because we sit in a circle. I look around at all of them and I went, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they opened their eyes and they're like, what are you talking about? How long was I out? I said, I thought I was out for minutes now. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. You just said, close your eyes. So a millisecond had passed from the time I said to my students, close your eyes, and the moment I landed back on my cushion after that, years away in the universe. So in that moment, again, nothing I did but close my eyes. I just closed my eyes. They had just touched the lower lid and I was out. I was up. They shot me. Spirit did that. I certainly was in a wonderful state after being in yoga for that hour, but I didn't do anything to make that happen. Remember, I knew nothing about mediumship at this point. I don't even think I knew my spirit guides. I definitely did not know my spirit guides. I was running on my intuition. I had a lot of dreams. I asked a lot of questions. I certainly was using the term universe. So that was one experience. And what I want to say is, you never know until you know. So if you're sitting there saying, oh, that's never going to happen to me, never say never. I didn't imagine that would happen to me. And I didn't know it would happen. I didn't know what I did to make it happen. Again, all I did was close my eyes. But I was on the track. I was obviously on a track for it to happen. So what did that do for me? Well, what it did for me is I said to myself, look, if that can happen once, that can happen again. I loved that. And I kept aiming for that. How did I do that? Again, I knew nothing about mediumship. I knew nothing about who the hell just did this. I think at that time I told maybe one person about it. But I felt there was something other than myself. In that moment, I didn't just feel it, I knew it. I knew again also that it wasn't, that I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Spirit did it. Spirit did it. I was in the right place at the right time, but Spirit did it because I couldn't duplicate that experience. I still haven't been able to duplicate that experience. However, I have felt that wonderful feeling of being up in the universe with no worry, no stress, and no time. Thanks everybody for joining. Hey, hey, hey. So if you just just joined in, the beginning explains a lot more about what's been happening. We're talking about out-of-body experiences and altered states of experiences and what the difference is between the two. I just explained an out-of-body experience. Now I'm going to explain an altered state experience. And this is my knowing what happened to me. So now I'm living in Virginia. I've gained some spirit guides. I have a little bit more, meditation. I understand my guides are around me and talking to them. I've also been doing some very cool past life work. One past life in particular, where I was with Abraham Lincoln, and I was a small child, a small slave child in that lifetime. So I was shown during a past life meditation what happened to me in that lifetime. I'm not going to explain that right now because that would be a spoiler alert because there's a lot coming about that. That's been over now 9 years that they showed me that past life, and I still process it like every 6 or 8 months. Something just came to me the other day about being multidimensional based on that past life. So there was too much for Spirit to show me at the beginning when they first showed me that past life. It was too much for me to take, I'm sure. So they had to show it in bits and pieces. And it's taken about 8 years, but that's okay because there is no time. And I needed all that time in between to process and grow. So again, never say never. You never know when you're meant to know something. Okay, so I've already understood this past life. I get it. I don't know the whole logistic of it, but I get what happened to me in that past life. I got Lincoln's role. I got my role. So it's early morning one time. I'm in Virginia living with my cousin and his wife. My cousin was gone, and early morning, one morning, I needed to take my cousin to pick up the truck. So I had to get up like at 5:30 in the morning. And if you've listened to a little bit of me, I have early morning anxiety, deep anxiety. So sometimes when I wake up early in the morning, not as much now because I've dealt with it, but back then it was deep. I woke up at 5:30. I think my alarm went off at 5:30. We had to leave at like 6. It was snowing. We had to drive about 20 minutes to go pick up the truck. She was going to take the truck and I was going to drive back home. Remember, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I wake up with this heightened sense of anxiety. There's this fear. My chest is so tight. I feel like I'm going to explode. But I managed to get in the car. And all the while in the car, I'm like quiet because I just feel, now again, I haven't had a lot of experience with Spirit yet. I just feel there's something coming. I'm not nervous. I just know there's something coming. So I get to pick up the truck, drop my cousin off, carry off. I get back in my car. Remember, it's snowing. I've got another 20-minute drive. And I hear from Spirit loudly in my car saying, "Get on your yoga mat." And I'm like, I'm in my car. Do you not see I'm in my car? And it's snowing. There's only so much time that's going to take me to get home. I can't rush. I hear again, "Get on your yoga mat." And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait till I get home. I'm like, I've got to get home first. But it was loud. I'm not sure if it was literally in my head or in my ears because, again, I haven't had a lot of experience yet with speaking to Spirit, but I was calling myself someone who might be a medium. So I make it home. I get in my house. I go right up to my room, roll out my yoga mat. As soon as I sit down on my cushion, my bedroom turns into the barn where we all lived in this past life as slaves. My room is now the barn. I am still Donna, and I see Donna in this past life as this young boy, this young slave boy in the barn. I'm sitting there in my room with all of this happening. Again, I'm not freaked out because I had some other things happen. So I'm not freaked out. I'm just taking it all in. So an altered state, again, is where you remain in your body, but everything changes around you. But I was conscious of myself sitting there as Donna and also myself sleeping in the barn as that young boy in my past life during Civil War time. Okay, so I'm just sitting there. My eyes are open. This is not happening in my head. My eyes are open, viewing this scene. So it's almost like we watch a movie and you see the room, but there's another image playing out in the room. Pretty cool, right? There was another scene playing out in my bedroom, but I could see everything. All of a sudden, the door of the barn opens. And I look to my left, Donna, on the cushion, look to my left because I hear the door of the barn open and Abraham Lincoln walks in. And Donna went, "Were you the slave owner?" Because now the past life is kind of sketchy at this point. I don't know the whole story about it. I've only seen bits and pieces. But I'm looking at Abraham Lincoln and he's looking at me as the slave child, little boy, and he says it's time to go. So I get up. I'm watching this all happen. I know that's me in that little boy's body, but I'm watching it as Donna would be watching a movie. The little boy gets up and he starts walking over to Abraham Lincoln. But before he does, he turns to look at all the other people that are in the barn with him, his friends, his family, his family. He doesn't understand, but he knows he has to go. I'm still confused because I'm like, I know Abraham Lincoln was not a slave owner, but I only see the scene I'm seeing. So Abraham Lincoln takes that little boy, takes him out of the barn. Scene. The scene ends. It disappears, altered state. The scene disappears from my bedroom, and I'm back sitting on my cushion. So if you just joined, I'm talking about altered states and out-of-body experiences, two specifically that happened to me. One where I stayed in my body and got shot up somewhere else, and the other, one where I was still the physical Donna, but got shot up. And the other one was I was in my physical body and a movie was playing out before me, an altered state, but I was still conscious and cognizant of what was going on. So two experiences. The moral of these stories, again, you never know until you know, and don't say never. Never say never. I had no idea these experiences were going to happen to me, and they were both led completely by spirit. I didn't make them happen in any way. All I had to do was follow the path that I was on. All I had to do was be my intuition, not look for my intuition, not listen to my intuition, be my intuition. So when spirit said, get on your yoga mat, you best believe I drove home, not fast because it was snowing. I got home on my yoga mat. And when spirit said, Donna, sit on your yoga mat, I sat on my yoga mat. I sat and it happened. I've got a few more of these experiences. They've all led me to really trust, to really leave no room for doubt when it comes to spirit and what they can do and what you're ready to receive. So I guess the end story here would be always be ready to receive, to leave no room for doubt that something interesting like this might happen. I'm still open. I've had a couple other experiences of altered states that have been very cool. One with my cat, one again with Abraham Lincoln, and I'll share those in another story. But I thank you so much for listening. If anybody wants to ask a question, now would be the time. Or if you just joined, go back and listen. I'll be live. It'll be recorded and up on YouTube and Instagram after this. A little self-promotion. I am still doing readings. A lot of people email me and say, are you still doing readings? I am still doing readings. So email me at dboylemedium@gmail.com and we can talk about that. I'm living in the Northeast, having a lot of fun riding my bike birding. In fact, I think I'm going to go out now, take a little hike, and take my binoculars with me. So open your eyes, open your ears, open your hearts, and sit in the presence of what you don't know yet. Love everybody. Thank you again so much. Saying goodbye. See ya.